Okay, so in this week's webinar, we basically did three things. So this webinar was on April 11th, and we were just kind of at the front door of the tariffs and the news and the drama of the news cycle and all that kind of stuff. So we talked about that for 5 or 10 minutes, and it's an interesting thing today. It's about 6 weeks later now to go back and watch that and just to kind of see how things were back then, taking the temperature of the world, which even 6 weeks later is much different. So that's one of the things we did. The second thing that we did is one of my most favorite things about Does It Pencil, and that was a live demonstration of internal rate of return, one of the most important skill sets that we teach in Does It Pencil training. And the third thing that we did, which we do at all the webinars, is we just had a roundtable discussion. How's things going for people, Q&A, and that kind of deal. All right. So if you've never been to a Does It Pencil webinar, I do them every Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific, and you can get the link at doesitpencil.com. All right. So let me apologize for my gross incompetence. I have done this before, once a week, but as we all know, the challenge with technology, as wonderful as it is when it doesn't work, it kind of sucks. And I have no idea why this microphone's not working, but we are where we are. Pivot, right? Adapt or die. Darwinism, all that. Okay. Christine, how are you today?
Good. I'm good.
You have
Living
burning questions
beautiful.
for me this morning to start?
I did ask a question while you were messing with your mic.
Oh, I heard
I
you.
yeah.
I got to tell
So,
you, honey, I've had the same problem. And mine's been
yeah.
coupled with chronic fatigue. And I don't know
Yeah.
all this medicine the doctor's been giving me or what, but brain fog sucks.
It does. It does. Especially it's so frustrating. So frustrating. But yeah, other than that, I'm great.
Okay. Craig, how are you? How's things in the Bay Area today? Good to see you again, brother.
Yeah, thanks. Great to see everybody. Yeah, things are great in San Francisco, and I'm glad to be here this morning.
Give us a quick SFO update. What's going on down there? Anything noteworthy?
Well, I think the market's been healthy. People are still buying.
Yeah.
Um, we're down a little bit. I think the market overall, and I checked the whole Bay Area, it seems to be everything's kind of down about 1.5 to 2 points from where it was last year.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's normal or not. We're going into the spring market, so I'm hoping it pick up. But
Right.
yeah, things if they're priced well, they're moving.
Yeah. So, do you work in the city? Is that kind of your area?
I got my start in San Francisco, but I live in Marin, so my work is pretty much evenly divided. I get a lot of referral business in both counties, so
So
it's I kind of have a good. Mhm.
I have two questions. Question number one, what does it cost on average to buy a house in San Francisco today? Just a three, two.
Yeah, about 1.7 million right now.
Okay. And are you seeing like new purchase money or people upgrading or from out of the country, or what do you kind of see as the trend in your market?
We're seeing people making moves. In Marin, we're seeing more people moving because of just they're changing. People are getting older and they're living in their houses longer, and so we're starting to see some transition from the baby boomers, downsizing. So we're getting a lot of that. And then there's new people coming into the market with lots of cash. So there's a lot of people with cash in reserves, just
Right.
waiting to buy houses.
Right. And my other question is, what is the general sentiment in the work community, software mostly, in your area about the current state of the world and tariffs and all that? People cool? They freaking out? Are they, what's going on?
Yeah, that's a good question. Everyone seems to have an opinion on tariffs.
Some people.
Um, yeah, yeah, it kind of depends on where they fall. I think a lot on the political spectrum, and economic and what their temperament is. If you're if you're somebody that's comfortable with risk, it's maybe not such a big deal. But a lot of people that play conservative, I think, are, really having a hard time with it right now.
So you find it being largely correlated to people's political biases.
I think it's a combination of political and then also just everyone has their own investment temperament and what their risk assessment is. If you're somebody that's comfortable with risk, maybe hey, let's give this tariff bit a shot, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but maybe it can.
Okay. Jonathan, you last I checked, you're over 25. True?
Just barely,
Okay, good.
just a little.
So my question to you is, as a fellow human investor, realtor, just trying to get through this thing called life, do you see this as sort of like investment Armageddon, or would you be one who to say, in the next 6 to 12 months, markets will find equilibrium and we'll be worried about the next drama that the White House brings?
My answer is I'm kind of more doomsday
Oh yeah.
than most people. What I think is going on is it's basically the United States losing its lead in being a world trade player and being a confident partner to the rest of the world. I think that whatever is going on in the by the government, they all want 1971 back or something, and it just isn't going to happen. There's this dream that there's this unfairness, which is a mafia kind of mentality. That's not kind of the way I understand the economy works. When you have a stronger economy, there isn't an unequalness, but that's okay. It was mostly healthy. We're not bringing manufacturing jobs back to the United States. And in fact, what we're doing is basically telling all our friends, go find some other friends. And I think we're doing incredible possible long-term damage to the status of the United States. That's my feeling. And all I can do is hope that, that they keep blinking every time they say they're going to do a tariff and then they walk it back. But it's just the incredible instability is horrible, horrible, and the people running the economy don't know anything. That's my feeling.
That's fair enough. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to respond to a couple things you said, but first, I have a special guest today from the great state of Idaho, Jacques Lemoneau. My God.
Lemieux.
Sorry, man. I met you, like 30 years ago, probably, or something like that.
Probably.
Yeah.
I started real estate in 2005, so it was probably 2006 when I took that first class over in Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah, exactly. So what's your read on kind of where we're at with the world and tariffs and all that in this week's news cycle? Couple minutes. Go ahead.
I kind of agree with the gentleman you were just talking to. I was just watching on YouTube this morning commentator, whatever, and he was talking about the word chaos and how it seems to apply to everything that's going on right now. And his main point was that was what the Democrats should be talking about all the time, that we were promised order and civility and all of this, and we've gotten chaos, and it's not going to end soon, and it's not going to end pretty. And I don't know. I have to admit, I turn 76 next week, and I don't remember a time in my life when I've been more pessimistic, not only for me, but for my grandkids.
Fair enough. Okay, we are going to talk about IRR today, but I wanted to just get a couple pieces of buy-in on this. I've been paying a lot of attention to this. I'm going to write a couple articles in the next couple weeks. I've been doing research on this tariff thing. And where I want to come from on this is I want to be as politically agnostic as I can be. Okay. And there's a couple reasons for that. One is because politics is not something that investors should be using as a decision-making marker because it goes up and down. It changes all the time. Okay. And the other reason is it's so polarizing and it pisses people off. And I have enough problems in my life. I don't make anybody else more mad at me than they already are. So I'm trying to approach this from a politically agnostic position. What I believe is that if we understand things, they're not as scary, right? I mean, that kind of makes sense. And no matter what our political stripes are, there is a core about every person on this planet, I believe, that is pretty similar. You know, we all want to feel safe. We all want to feel like our family's okay. Want to feel like we're doing something good in the world. Those kinds of benchmarks. And we want to feel like we're being smart with our money, right? So those are the lenses that I'm trying to look at this through. And what I think right now is a couple things are happening. One is, as I said last week, we're living in history. This is a moment, and things will be different moving forward. We're not going back. You're not going to get to move back home with your parents. As much as I would love to go back to 1971 with my current brain, but not my body, can't do it. Okay. But we can be smart and use the wisdom of the past and look at the mistakes of the past and try to make good decisions moving forward. Okay. So for now, here's what I'm going to say. I made a pretty healthy investment in the stock market on Tuesday. And Wednesday, I made a lot of money. And then I lost some more money on Thursday. And it's going to be that way for a while. But in that sector of my investments, and it's not all my investments, but is a part of what I invest in, I remain a firm believer in the veracity and the durability of the American capitalist system. Somehow, some way, we always just figure out a way to work through things. We just do. And it is in times of uncertainty that I think we have the most potential to make profit. Okay. How many of you today, looking back, would have just bought as much real estate as you possibly could have in 2008, 2009, 2010? Everybody would have, right? Because now you know that it went up. You lost me?
As far as that
Yeah.
goes, what you were saying again.
Oh, well, what I said
How
was,
many of you?
yeah, in 2008, 2009, 2010, knowing what you know now, would have bought as much real estate as you possibly could have. Everybody would have, because it went up. I mean, if you would have
Absolutely. Yeah.
known in March of 2020, and I watched this on the TV, it was like the third week of March, I believe, when the Dow dropped 3,000 points in one day because of this thing called COVID, which was an unknown. We all thought the world was going to end. Well, the stock market doubled in the next year, you know? So I remain convinced and committed to paying attention. It's funny, I was talking to my money guys about this last week. He goes, Joe, it's the N. I go, what? He goes, you know, on the upper left-hand part of the 10B2, the N, the time thing. And he's right. It's not timing the market, it's time in the market. And I think that applies to pretty much every asset that we could ever invest in. Okay. So I'm not right. I'm not wrong. You guys aren't right. You guys aren't wrong. What I'm trying to do is just open us up to the larger picture because it's so easy to get freaked out, especially these days with, and I say it all the time, with these goddamn things and all the news and just all the noise that's coming at us. And let's remember too, the media that we consume has a vested interest in keeping our attention. And what do people pay attention to? Fighting, conflict, chaos, apocalypse. That's what humans are drawn to. That's the dopamine. And the people that are the editors that decide what to show us, they know that because their job is to keep our attention. Right? So one takeaway from today is just think about the role of time in your investments. And remember that the most successful investors that you will ever meet, including the famous ones like Warren Buffett, at one point or another in their investment career, have lost over half of what they've had. That's just the uncertainty of markets. And I'm not advocating market timing. I'm not advocating stocks over real estate. I mean, I think, as Craig said, you find a popularized price property, it's never a bad time to buy in the Bay Area. Okay, 1.7 is a little rich, but it is what it is. Okay. I'm sure we'll talk about this some more. It's not going away anytime soon. But for today, I wanted to bring back internal rate of return. Okay. And some things happened to me this week where I had people come to me and ask me questions. And once again, I just went back to internal rate of return because I remain committed. It's our best single tool to analyze any investment in anything over a holding term, and it allows us to compare unlike investments. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do two things. First of all, I'm going to do a little bit of a lecture on internal rate of return. You've taken dozen pencil before, you've seen this. I'm going to stop there, ask any questions, and then I put in the email, have the app on your phone, and then we'll do a couple problems together. Okay, so that's what we're doing today. All right, so we start the discussion about internal rate of return talking about what I refer to as the 3 time modalities, which are quite simply the beginning, the middle, and the end. Okay. Now, why do I say that? Well, I say that because all the studying, academics, practical stuff that I've done, and teaching this like a trillion times, I've just come to realize that the simplest, easiest way to understand any investment you'll ever make in anything is that these are the 3 stages of that investment. Again, any investment in anything. You buy it, you hold it, you either sell it or you die, and that's it. Now, one of the things I get is feedback when I teach Zoom live and all that kind of stuff is people say, oh, the thing I like about Joe is he can take complex stuff and make it simple. This is the simplest way that I can talk about investments that you make. You buy them, you hold them, you either sell them or you die. The great thing about IRR is it gives us a 1 number answer. Okay. And I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. People who are investing are doing the following, and we've all done it. You invest dollars today because you believe you'll have more at some point in the future. That's all it is. That's all investing is. I'm investing something today because I think I'm gonna have something in the future. And my aspiration, my expectation, my hope about this future event, I know it sounds weird, but it's true, it'll make me happy. That's important. And happiness is measured in all sorts of modalities. Won't get into that. But that's why we do this investing thing. Okay. I put money every month into an IRA account so that I know I'm going to have enough at some point in the future. That's why I do it. I buy the beat up house that's the worst property in the best neighborhood because I can fix it up and flip it and make a profit. I'll have more in the future than I do now, and that makes me happy. And that's really what it is. Now, with IRR and the T account, with this 1 number answer deal that's expressed as a percent, allows us to do is to further explore the real nature of an investment, which I further describe this way. Cash out, cash flow, cash in. Okay, so in the IRR model, the key feature here is it's cash, cash, cash. It's not price, price, price. And that's the first super important thing to remember about internal rate of return methodology. So all it cares about is your cash flows, not your price. Now here at the beginning, if you pay all cash, then obviously that's your price. But the cash is king, that's the thing. And if leverage is a part of your strategy, the less cash you can put in, generally, the bigger this number IRR will be at the end. So IRR is a tool that accommodates that. It also accommodates this middle piece, which is the cash flow. And in Does It Pencil and in CCIM training, we use this thing called an APOD, APOD, Annual Property Operating Data. This is the thing that measures the cash flow of our investment. And then we come to this end here, where we either sell the asset or we make some sort of estimation of what we believe it might, could, or hopefully will be worth in the future. And we solve for something called PTSP. This is the pre-tax sales proceeds. So IRR methodology is a closed model. Okay, now this is a bit of theory stuff, but what it means is this is more realistic. And in this application, the challenging part is the last leg, because you have to make an estimation of what you think it will be worth at the end of a holding term. And without getting into it, this is different than measuring the cash on cash or the cap rate. Okay, because this measures the hard cash, again, that you put out, that you paid or received in the middle, and then you got at the end. Okay. Okay. So the third element of this IRR methodology is what I call the T account. Okay, very simple. It's a 2-column account. And the 2 columns are headed in the left by a T for time, and the right by a CF for cash flow. So when I'm doing an IRR analysis, and make this note if you need to, you're measuring the only 2 things that matter in any investment and anything that you'll ever make, which is the relationships of time and money. And that's what this thing allows us to do visually. Okay. Now, in the T account, and I'm going to move into a little bit of jargon, we don't talk about months or years. We talk about time periods. Okay. Now, these are essentially years. Okay. And every single T account you build always, always, always begins with the number 0. And people say, well, we don't start counting with the number 0 in America. We start counting with the number 1. True. But in the cash flow T, we begin counting with the number 0. And what happens at the number 0 is the investor makes the investment, which I represent this way. Brackets DP plus OCA bracket. Now, bracket means negative. It means I paid this money out. So sidebar, in the T account and in IRR calculations, you must pay attention to your sign conventions. And sign conventions are your positives and negatives. We pay out the down payment and any other costs, cash costs that we pay at the beginning at escrow, and I call this cash out. Okay, so quite simply, it's all the cash that the buyer paid to acquire title. Most commonly, this will be the down payment plus any other cash costs they pay, which nothing else is just the HUD one. Okay, that's what goes here. Now I put 1, 2, 3 here to represent 3 years of ownership. Your model might have 1 year of ownership. It might have 10 years of ownership. It might have 5 years of ownership, whatever. I just do 3 because it's faster and I'm teaching a class. In each one of these time periods, we go to the cash flow piece off of the APOD, and line 18 of the APOD is what's known as PTCF, and that's the pre-tax cash flow. And sidebar over here, the net operating income minus the annual debt service equals the pre-tax cash flow. So my net income from operations minus 1 year's of mortgage payments, principal and interest, equals my pre-tax cash flow. That's the bottom line of an APOD, and that's what goes in the middle of a T account, positive or negative. Right? Now we come to this third and final thing called PTSP, pre-tax sales proceeds. And so PTSP, sidebar over here, is going to be my future price minus my loan payoff minus my sales costs. That's going to give me my PTSP. So this is the amount of money that the future seller excuse me, would walk out of escrow with, in this example, 3 years in the future. Okay. Now, the last really integral piece of building a model is this. Whatever the last year of your model, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever, you must always add your sales proceeds to your cash flows in the last year. Okay. If you don't, like in this example, if you carried this down and created a non-fictitious fourth period, your overall rate of return would get watered down because it's not right. So whatever the year of sale is, I mean, unless it's January 1st, I guess, you're always going to add your cash flows from that year to the sales proceeds. Okay. So to review, cash out, that happens here at this place called 0. Then I own it and have cash flow, 1, 2, 3, positive or negative. Finally, cash in, PTSP, that goes there. This is how we populate a T account. Okay, so you're going to need an APOD to be able to do one of these on a property. And you have to have some understanding of your future price, your loan payoff, and your costs to get to your PTSP. All right. If it's been a while since you've done this, it can seem a little daunting. I know that. However, this is not complicated. It's actually pretty simple. It's a very straightforward connect the dots methodology, okay, to build a T account. Once we have built our T account, we enter in our numbers and we solve for internal rate of return. Okay. Internal rate of return is expressed as a percent. And proper notation of a percent is at 2 significant places, 2 digits to the right of the decimal, which on the HP 10B2 is achieved by pressing gold key, which is this one in the lower left. This one right here, that's the gold key. And then the equals key, which is at the bottom, and then the number 2. So this is at 4 places right now, 0.0476. Gold key equals 2. Now it's 0.05. Right? Okay, so as promised, we'll stop there. Any questions or comments about that at this point? Are we good? Okay, so Matthew, I have a question for you.
Okay.
based on my excellent sermon over the last 10 minutes, do you know this well enough that you could teach somebody else how to do it?
I'm getting better on this with each lecture with you.
Okay, good.
So
Good.
I'm not there yet, but
It's
yes,
fine.
I'll
So here's why I said that, and thanks for playing along. I said that because that should be the litmus test that everybody here uses to feel comfortable about integrating this into whatever application you want. If you could sit down with someone and explain to them how this works, then you get it. And that just comes from repetition. And believe it or not, this webinar will be posted, so you'll be able to watch this one again. But you've all taken Desert Pencil. You've seen this before. This is just a refresh review. Christine, you're up.
Okay. So when I'm looking at this, year one, like I'm applying it to my rental, I made 1,500 a month. Year two, I was making 1,800 a month, and so on. So are you, when we're starting at the very beginning of evaluating a property, are we, doing an appreciation of 3% or whatever our market supports?
Yes. If you are on the buying side, projecting forward, you have to know, you have to make an estimation of what the property worth at the end of your anticipated holding term. And that is the appreciation piece. Correct.
Well, right, but I mean, but my rents, I'm raising my rents every year too, so my cash flow is going to go up, right? I mean, because that's what potential cash flow is what I'm talking about. Because I'm holding on to this property for however I've already owned it for like 6 years.
Yeah.
So, I'm looking at it as been able to, the market has allowed me to increase the rent each year. So that's what I'm talking about. If I'm looking at it from the very beginning, should I, with the potential cash flow, allocate that too for each year that I'm going to be able to increase my rents, let's say?
Sure. I mean,
But
you're
that's a
talking about forecasting, right?
right,
You haven't
right.
bought the
And
property yet, and you're saying, I want to run some what if scenarios, correct?
right.
Yeah, that's what you do. And I'll go through that here in just a second. Okay. Now, before I do, I want to just do a little bit of a mental timeout. And I know this sounds kind of weird, but I really believe this. Remember this word I used about 20 minutes ago? Happy. You want to be happy in the future. Okay. There's a great quote I read many years ago by some guy in the 1800s. He was a misogynist, ladies. Sorry about that. But he basically quoted this. He said, men don't aspire to be rich, only richer than other men. Okay. It's a great quote. And I think it's very apropos to most investment decisions because let's not get super bogged down on counting what I call the number of angels dancing on the head of a pin. What we're trying to do here is help someone make a decision, and decisions are binary, as I've said 1,000,000,000 times. They are yes or no, especially in the real estate business. What I mean is this: you're either going to buy it or not, you're either going to sell it or not, and that's it. And we need to remember that. Okay, so can I go through and do all sorts of forecasting stuff? Sure, you can. Absolutely, 100%. And if it's applicable to the situation, you should. But I want to just say this: use caution about getting too bogged down. Oh, 1,500 to 1,800. I'm not really sure. Should we split the baby? Oh, okay, let's make it 1,600. In the larger sense, those things probably don't matter. They're not going to have a huge impact on the overall outcome. In the IRR model specifically, the thing that will have the most bearing on the number is the appreciation. I've done this enough times. I've tested it mathematically. That's the way it is. So if you're buying a smaller property and say you're just sort of like breaking even on a cash flow basis, okay? Depending on what you factor in for appreciation, that's the make or break number as to whether you should do this or not. Okay, now talk about being happy. Happy is important, and happy is measured against one word. You guys remember what the word is? Starts with an E.
Expectation.
Correct.
Woohoo.
Write this down. It's like the most important word in sales and persuasion. Expectations. So if you are a broker working with a client, looking at buying something held as an investment, the first thing you've got to, not the first thing, but one of the first things you need to determine is what is that client's expectation? And you need to isolate it to a one number. Okay, now on this webinar in the last year, I've tossed out some different numbers. Let me go back into my bag of tricks and toss them out again, okay? The first thing that we all need to understand is what is what's called my safe rate. Okay, so a safe rate is what rate of return can I earn for doing nothing? Right now, if I was going to be scared because of today's news, that's the first thing I noticed, is that sentiment is at an all-time low over the last 50 years. That's an important number. Sentiment. How do people feel about their lot in life? Because the American economy is consumer driven. And when people don't feel good about the economy, their life in the world, that's probably some of the worst news besides interest rates. Okay, that came up today. I'm a little worried about that. Not panicking, but a little worried. That said, right now I can walk out the door and I can earn 4 to 4.5% for doing nothing. Okay, now that would be what I call my cash on cash return. Has nothing to do with appreciation, nothing at all. Okay, so that's one benchmark. Second benchmark, and I've talked about this before. If I use the stock market as a measurement indice, and as you guys know, I'm a big fan of the S&P 500, that's returned about 12.4% per year since 2008. So if I'm going to use a comparison moving forward of appreciation, I'm going to compare with that. Now, am I going to go back to the crazy 20, 25% appreciation during COVID? No. Why? Because that was interest rate driven. Am I going to revert to 3% because that's a normal talking point? Well, maybe that's a market nuance. But I'm just putting out there, if you're working with investors, remember, investors have alternatives. I talk about the stock market a lot because it's a general measurement that's available to everyone, but also because as people come into your lives, to the extent they learn about these things and stay present to them, they will know this as well, and you need to know it too. Okay, third and final number. People ask me, somebody asked me yesterday, what is my bar for investing my money? Okay, now I have 3 buckets that I use. Okay, and I believe in the 3 bucket analogy. Retirement money is in one bucket, my normal day-to-day investments are another bucket, and then I have a third bucket that has cash available for businesses, real estate, that kind of thing. That's my more risky bucket. In that bucket, I want to earn at least 20%. Okay, so those are 3 numbers that you can use at your leisure, but I want to at least provide some guideposts. Okay, because it's important to understand what else is out there besides just real estate. Now, that said, given the world today, if I was going to buy a property today, build a T account and say, what rate of appreciation would I use moving forward? I'd use 3%. Why would I use 3? Well, because that's kind of inflation and that's just at par. And then at the end, if it does better, I've exceeded expectations. That makes people happy. That's it. That's all there is. Okay. Now, since you raised your hand, Christine, as you always do, and I love you for that, let's talk about one of your properties in Tri-Cities. Okay. And you guys in California, just to give you context about this, if you look at the state of Washington and draw an X and go to the X and then go down about halfway, boop, that's where she is. She's on the intersection of the Columbia and Snake Rivers. A place called Hanford that you may have heard of is in her neighborhood. And in the state of Washington, housing prices there are a little bit less than half on average of the Seattle metro market. Okay, is that fair, Christine?
Yep. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Our average residential single family is, 480, 450.
Okay, so you could buy 5 houses in the Tri-Cities or 1 from Craig in San Francisco. Take your pick, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so that's just
Yeah.
our-
When he said his average was 1.7, I just about choked on my coffee.
You're like,
Like, shit,
I
man.
could buy all of Pasco for 1.7.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yay. Okay.
right.
So
So
I have
let's build a little T account here. Okay.
I love it.
All right.
I got a duplex, so I'd love
Your
to use it.
property that you're getting what? We'll just say 1,500 a month.
Okay. Yeah. Okay,
What did
yes.
you pay for that property?
185.
Okay. So this is a duplex. And the price.
I'm sorry. It's a single right now. It's single. That's my single. I have a fourplex I'd really like you to do, but that's okay.
Whatever. You have this property you spent $185,000 on. Okay.
Correct.
Did you finance it?
No, I paid cash.
Okay, so you paid all cash, and you are positive cash flowing 1,500 a month.
Correct.
Okay. So we'll just say that your PTCF is 1,500. Okay. I'm not, so just so you know, this would be after going through income, expense, vacancy, debt, all that. That's all baked into this. And she's at
That's what I was gonna say.
1,500. Okay.
Yep.
That's where that comes
Perfect.
from, right? Now,
Very fair.
let's just do a quick little sidebar calculation about the appreciation. Now I'm going to use the calculator to do this. Let me put the key presses up here. So this will be the appreciation. Appreciation is measured in a time value of money modality called 1 payment per year. So the first key press on the calculator is 1 gold key payment, and then gold key clear all to clear the machine. Okay. So right here, this one is set for 12 payments per year. So I'm going to press 1 gold key payment and then gold key clear all. Now I'm at 1 payment per year and I'm in end mode. That's the setup to do appreciation. Now I'll type in 185,000 plus or minus PV. This is the plus or minus key. This changes the sign convention. It does not subtract, it makes it a negative. I'm making this a negative because I'm paying this money out. I'm paying this out when I buy the property. I'm going to do a 3-year analysis here. So my next key press will be 3 gold key N. And I will assume that my property will price appreciate at 3% per year. So I have the present value, the term, and the rate. The last key press will be to solve for the future value. So I'll do it this way. I've already done these two. 185,000 negative, and then PV. 3 gold key N, 3 interest, solve future value. So at the end of the 3rd year, my property should be worth 202,154. Okay. Now, in full desert pencil, we would go through and do the debt service and subtract the loan and all that kind of thing. Fortunately, we don't have to do that here because she paid all cash. There is no debt. Okay. All right. So now we'll build a T account. Looks like this. On this situation at time period 0, she paid out $185,000 because she paid all cash for the property. In time period 1, she's going to get, we need to annualize these. So let's just wait. Let's say year 1, she gets $1,500 a month. Times 12 equals, I think that's 18,000.
18,000.
Yeah. In year 2, she bumps to 1650. That gets her 19,800. And let's just say in year 3, she's at the same, because she's a very benevolent, kind, and loving landlord. She's at 19,800. Okay. All right. So now we plug these in here. So this is 18,000 in year 1, in year 2, 19,800. And in year 3, time period 3, it's actually this plus this. Okay. So it's the 202,154 plus the 19,800. Okay.
Okay.
That's 221,954. Okay, so that's now I've built my T account. So just to quickly review, she bought it all cash, 185. This is her net pre-tax cash flow after debt service and income expenses, 18,19,8. And here we're going to add these two together to get this 221,954. All right. Now we'll solve for internal rate of return. And I'll go a little slower here so people that have the app can follow along. So the first thing is, when you solve for internal rate of return, you must be in this one payment per year mode. So stay in one payment per year. And then gold clear all. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press this middle key, third row, the one that says CFJ. When I tap on that, it goes to a new menu. And the top row says amount initial cash flow. This is where the time period 0 cash flow is entered. So I have to tap in there. And I'm going to type in 185,000. And then I'm going to tap this plus or minus on the right to make it negative. Okay. Now this is super important. This has to be negative. If it's not, if you leave it positive and go through to the end, it won't solve. IRR knows one has to be negative, one has to be positive on the front and back end. Okay, now I'm going to go here to this next row, which is time period 1. So I'm going to tap into that second box and type 18,000. All right. Then I'm going to tap into the box next to it that says number of times and tap the number 1. So these flows in time period 1 occur one time in this 1 year. Okay, but I've got 2 more rows. So on this device, up here at the top, I have a circle and a plus. If I tap that, I create a new row, and this becomes my time period 2. So I type,
If you don't have a circle and a plus,
you have something that should create the next row for you.
craft.
Some devices are different. You should have something. So I'm going to tap into that box and type in 19,800. Number of times 1. What kind of a phone do you have, Christine?
I got it. It's I have an iPhone or Apple.
You figured it out? You got it?
Yeah, there's a little, all it is a plus sign at the very top. So very easy.
Okay, cool. Okay, now I'm going to go to my third time period here, make one more row, tap into that, 221,954, number of times is 1. So now I've entered all of my cash flows. Now, I have a couple of different ways, excuse me, on the device to navigate the solving of the IRR. One way that I can do it on this device is at the top here. I've got the 3 dots they call the hamburger. I can tap on that, and here just tap IRR per year. And it's 13.06%. The other thing I can do is I can back arrow, cash flows are still loaded, and press gold key CST, second row middle, IRR per year, same answer. So you have two ways you can solve for IRR.
So how did you get to that screen before? I missed it.
This one.
Oh, what did you push to get there?
So at the upper right, you've got the three dots, the hamburger. Tap on that.
No, I don't. I have the sandwich.
So
Well, is it the tap on the three dots?
No, it's not. It's the sandwich lines.
Okay. Well, then just back arrow.
there's a back arrow down on the numbers part, Kelly. Try that.
I did.
And you should go to your original screen here.
Hmm.
And then press gold key CS,
No, mine doesn't either.
which is IRR per year.
Hmm. I don't know how to get to that.
So what this model tells us is that her overall annualized rate of return is 13.06%. So people ask me, what is it, 13.6% per year? No, it's not. It has to take into account all years because it has to pick up the appreciation piece as well. So you have to do the whole thing, and it's represented as an annualized rate of return.
So can I ask you this, since I have owned it for 5 years,
Yeah.
but when I bought it, I could have sold it immediately for 230,000. I knew that was the fair market value for it.
Okay.
So when I go to sell it,
So,
I know right now it's closer to 325.
okay, then use that.
Okay.
Okay, now let's just do this while we're playing with Christine's life.
Thank you.
What if she was going to flip it? What if her question was, what if I flip instead of doing a buy and hold? She might do this. After she bought it, she might say one gold key payment and then clear it. 185,000 negative PV, one gold key N, and this would be for 1 year of hold. 230 FV. Okay, and then solve for the IYR. This is the rate of return. So this would be just using time value of money instead of IRR. What would you get that way? Okay, so 185,000 negative PV, 230 FV, one gold key N, solve for interest here, the IYR key, 24.32%. And this is an annualized rate of return. Okay. What if she would have sold it in 6 months? Here's how I would do that. 48.64%. That would be the 6 month. I would just double it. So remember, these numbers, these calculations are 12-month numbers. So if you were to flip it and do it in half, you just double your return.
Beautiful.
All right. Okay, Matthew, you ready to teach us how to do IRR?
Joe, I won't take your place. I'm not even. It's a bigger shoe that
Somebody's going to have to one of these days.
I don't know when
down on you,
the
brother.
level get to have the level you are right now, even 1/4 of the level. So, but I'm enjoying it. Thank you so much.
Good. Well, thanks for showing up. So,
Mm.
Craig, it's been a while since you've done this. Is that a helpful review for you?
Yeah, it is. Although I was thrown a little. I grabbed my HP10C, but it uses reverse Polish, so I'm a little.
It's a 12C.
Oh yeah, 12C. So
I love the 12C. Okay, so on the 12C, what you press is the CFJ keys. Let me just scroll back real quick to the T account.
Because I was trying to figure out the IRR on mine.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about RPN
Yeah.
because that's the add and subtract stuff. So this is how you would do it on your calculator. You'd press FCLX to clear it,
Right.
and then press 185,000.
Okay.
And the top row, you have this key that says CHS to change signs.
Oh, right, right.
Okay. Then you press in the bottom row, the blue G.
Do I push the enter or is that?
No, you press
oh,
blue G, not enter, and then CF of O, which is the PV key.
Oh, I see.
And that's for the first flow at time period 0. That is CFO. And then the next one, 18,000, you type that in, blue G. Then you press CF of J, which is the payment key. And then this one and this one, blue G, CFJ, blue G, CFJ. Then to solve for IRR, you press the gold F. And then IRR, which is the FV key. Okay. That's how you
Right.
solve that on the HP12C. Okay. Let's pause there. TN. Hi. How are you today? Good. I can't hear you. You got volume?
Oh, how about now?
Perfect. So my question for you is, after our little visit last week, did you go back and have you talked to the city at all about your mixed use development?
I reached out to them, emails and forms and calls, and I haven't heard back. So it's gonna be a little bit of tagging them again. Yeah. But I thought of, and I did reach out to my builders and my architect and the people that I work with for feasibility on all their deals. And they're like, we can't get you the numbers yet because there's some unknowns in there. And my thought on this one is, while that's in the back of my mind when I can get the answers back, I'm still working towards it because we got a couple months. Maybe the easiest way to tackle this, because they're very cash tight, and they can't spend very much. I maybe just route it to a small business type. So like office use, for like an accounting office, or even medical. I kind of worry about that because they've got the old plumbing. So that might be a concern, additional cost, but it would be like light renovation, maybe that type of business for the neighborhood.
Okay. And this is in kind of a dense neighborhood area, is that right?
Yeah, yeah. So it all three, there are four faces to the home. Three of them meets residential, and only one side is commercial. And we're like right on the line, but across the street, everything is commercial. So we're the very border.
Okay. I'm going to leave you with this very simple piece of advice that will make you money. If you don't want to sell the property, don't talk to the person next door.
We spoke to them.
Well,
Yeah.
what I'm saying is your buyer is probably in a 2-block radius for a deal like that. I'd be hitting those people.
Yeah, yeah. Because I kind of copy what my brother-in-law did, where he sold a restaurant. He's not an agent. He sold his mom's restaurant for double what the commercial realtor told him, because he knocked on the guy next door who owns a grocery store. And
Yeah.
he said, by the way, I have a grocery store who wants to buy this.
Yeah, perfect.
I bought it
That's
for
good.
800.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Okay.
like advice.
All right, Mercedes, are you just lurking? Are you there, Mercedes?
I'm here. Yeah,
I feel like I need to buy you a computer so you're not doing this on your phone all the time.
I have a computer, but if I'm using my phone to follow along, then yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, what do you got?
I don't have much. I mean, I don't have much, just following along.
Jason, are you there? Mr. Harding?
Yes, sir. I've been listening along. It's I got a email from my broker said, "Hey, you should listen to this guy's investment analysis. It's he's got a great way of teaching." So I chimed in and I've been following along. It's great. I appreciate it.
Have you taken Does It Pencil?
I have not. I've taken various, like APOD courses and stuff like that, and uh it's always interesting. There you always pick up something new. I was really liking your I came in late to the game with no context. I just clicked on the link and joined. But I was really interested in your calculator that you guys were using, all seemed on board with. Um and yeah, I thought it was I'll definitely be looking for more information in the future.
Why don't you put your email address in the chat? I'll get you on the list so that you get future. We do this every Friday, unless I'm teaching
That sounds great. Yeah, I'll fire it in there.
or in an ambulance on my way somewhere. But the day is young. Okay, Jacques, you got anything else you want to share with us from the great state of Coeur d'Alene or Sandpoint or wherever you are?
I'm in Kellogg, actually. Don't put me in Coeur d'Alene. That's
Okay.
not my favorite town. Um, Joe, no, I'm not doing real estate anymore. I my spouse's medical conditions kind of dictated that it was time for me to retire, and I'm kind of like the kid sitting in the back of the classroom. I'm just kind of listening and enjoying and appreciate the mental stimulation. Thank you.
Good. Well, my best to your wife. I'll leave you guys with this, a little story from Kellogg, Idaho, because I've been to Kellogg, Idaho more than once. When I was in college at WSU, and I was there from 81 to 85, there was a little ski area on I-90. It was called Silverhorn. It used to have been called Jackass, and now it's called Silver Mountain, but it was Silverhorn in those days. And that was during a time in the economy when we were in a recession. That was when Reagan was president. And I was the coach of I was a student coach of our ski team. And so I walk into the athletic department one day and there's this guy sitting there who was the ski school director for Silver Mountain. And he made us an offer. He said, if you bring all your kids up to Silver Mountain to train, we will give you 2 lift tickets and 2 nights of lodging in the great state of Kellogg, Idaho for $18. And we said, oh yeah, I'm in. Well, there was a place in Kellogg, I was still there. It's called the Sunshine Inn. Is that still there?
It is not. The restaurant that you went to has been turned into one of those golf simulator places, where
Probably
you,
just as well.
yeah.
Well, here's what happened
Yeah.
last time we were there. So me
Yeah.
and 49 of my co-eds show up and we're all like 19 to 22 years old. We get all our stuff unloaded and whatever. And so this was a restaurant and a hotel. And it was
Right.
husband and wife and like somebody's sister that ran this place. There was 3 of them, right?
Right.
So we said, okay, we're all unpacked. We go to WSU. Where do we go next? We go to the bar. And so beers were 10 cents. So me and the other coach put $5 a piece on the bar. We were in college. And I'll never forget this. The third person working there, the lady, was the one-man band on the stage in the front. So she's like playing guitar, singing, and she's got some little foot drum that she's
Right.
banging at the same time. Well, about $3 into this, I'd had enough. I was going to bed. So about an hour later, my girlfriend and some other gal come in. I'm just like laying on the bed. Joe, waking me up. You got to come right now. We have a problem. We have a problem. I'm like, I can't do problems. I drank $3 worth of beer. I can't do this. Anyway, so what happened was we had this one fella on the team who was a nice guy, but he was quite effeminate in his appearances just because he was a nice guy. There's two little guys that were just rabble rousers. And so they were messing with the effeminate guy. And what happened was the little guys did something to him. He starts chasing these guys around the bar, right? And then the one guy runs out of the bar, pushes the glass door open, which swings closed, and the guy chasing him ran through the glass door. And it was not safety glass. Big problem. Like life flight to Sacred Heart in Spokane and the whole deal. Not good. I don't know if there's a moral of that story or not, but we didn't go back to Kellogg, Idaho. But it's a beautiful place. And if you're ever there and go ski it, drop by the Sunshine Inn.
Welcome to the Silver Valley.